In what is viewed as a defeat for the far right, a big Supreme Court decision today rejected a legal theory which would have given state legislatures basically unchecked power to rule over federal elections in their states. If the decision had gone the other way, highly partisan state legislatures, mostly Republican-dominated, across the country could theoretically engage in all sorts of mischief, which could only be addressed if Congress stepped in or if it violated a fundamental federal constitutional principle. Even governors, election administrators, state courts would have been shut out of the process. This comes on the heels of a decision on Monday to not hear a case that could have threatened an African-American majority congressional district in Louisiana. A couple of weeks prior to that, the court ruled that Alabama had violated the 1965 Voting Rights Act by packing African-American voters in the state into a single district, all decisions that liberals should be celebrating. But rather than appreciating that maybe the court isn't as illegitimate or purely partisan as some on the left have been claiming for years now, the attacks on the court continue today from the left. Congressman Adam Schiff tweeting, quote, "Today is a win, but this could have been catastrophic for our elections. That some justices are receptive to this is terrifying. The court needs to be expanded and unstacked." He's talking about packing the courts. Yes, the Supreme Court is very conservative right now, as conservative as it's ever been, and I disagree with some of their recent rulings. But this ruling today should offer comfort to many on the left, but it doesn't and won't. I spent my whole SiriusXM radio show today responding to liberals still unwilling to give the court any credit at all. Left-leaning media and even elected Democrats on Capitol Hill have been openly questioning the legitimacy of the court.
This is an illegitimate decision by an illegitimate court.
Legitimacy crisis is an understatement. This is an anti-democratic, pro-minority rule, GOP-packed Supreme Court that needs to be urgently rebalanced.
They have created an absolute illegitimate far right-wing Supreme Court that is poised to overturn rights that have been enshrined in law for generations. And this is a clear and present danger to our country.
Now, those were all comments from before this ruling, but illegitimate. Supreme Court is a clear and present danger. I mean, the same court that would not hear Donald Trump's claims of voter fraud, the same court that led the Affordable Care Act stand, the same court where Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority today in the case, said, quote, "The Elections Clause does not insulate state legislatures from the ordinary exercise of state judicial review. It is a sound legal ruling. Trump-appointed justices Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett sided with Roberts and the court's liberals in the majority. But according to many on the left, there's still nothing to appreciate about the court because this case was too easy, too dumb, too fringe." Joining us now is Michael Waldman, president and CEO of the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU School of Law. He was chief White House speechwriter for President Bill Clinton. He's the author of the book Supermajority: How the Supreme Court Divided America. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Appreciate it. All right. So first, let me ask you, do you think I'm getting this all wrong here?
A little bit.
Tell me why.
In the following sense. I think this was a good ruling. My organization was pretty involved in urging the court to make this ruling. It should not have been a hard one, and in the end, it wasn't. I do think the Voting Rights Act ruling a few weeks ago was more of a surprise and more of a very pleasant surprise. But I think that it's important for all of us who care about the court, who care about justice, who care about the Constitution, to understand that this court is not the same court that did, for example, uphold the Affordable Care Act. It now has a 6-vote supermajority of very conservative justices who most of the time, move in lockstep. And last year, the first full year of that supermajority, we saw in just 3 days the most radical Second Amendment ruling in the country's history in Bruin, the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Dobbs, which most people know about, which of course was very significant, and then the beginning of a significant assault on the ability of government to protect the environment and take other regulatory actions, which I think is something that's going to continue. So 3 cheers for this ruling today, although they shouldn't have had to make it. But I think that these justices are not playing for today's headlines, but for the long game. And I think while the country is moving in one direction, many of them at least are pushing pretty hard in another.
Well, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.